Hey everybody, Cinema Sickness here with your daily sickness video, and happy Saturday to each and every one of you. About to go out, do some pretty fun cinema hunting, possibly going out to some pretty cool places. Hopefully some good deals to be had. We will see. Very excited about that. Stay tuned for an upcoming cinema hunting video. I'll actually be going out with one of my viewers and doing some cool hunting. Again, very excited. As soon as I'm done this video, I'm pretty much going to be headed out. Very excited about that. But first, we do have to do our daily sickness video. And since I was thinking about recording a video while I was out, but then I realized, well, I'm going to be doing a hunting video, so I'm not going to do that. Going to do this instead. So, all right, let's get down to it, because today we have some titles to take a look at. Some things that I've recently checked out. I've watched a lot of good stuff. A lot of titles some of you guys were asking about. Some of you guys had some horrible things to say about some of this stuff, and some of you guys were asking me what I thought of it. So we're going to take a look at them, and I'm going to tell you guys what I thought. So, all right. First up is a title that I can't physically hold up and show you, as I only own a digital copy of. And this one, nobody's saying anything bad about it. It was like, that was a good documentary. Very glad you watched it. And that is Back in Time, which is the Back to the Future documentary. It was awesome. Just like everybody said, a fantastic documentary, extremely informative. I've said a million times, when it comes to documentaries, you gotta be informative. I need as much information as I possibly get, and they threw plenty at you. It was just absolutely fantastic from start to finish. If you are a fan of Back to the Future, and who isn't, you definitely need to check out Back in Time. Just again, brilliant. I mean, what can I say about it, really? I mean, can I go into too much detail? Great interviews. I love all the interviews from like Michael J. Fox and stuff like that. A little hard to watch at times. It's kind of sad to see him, moving around so much, but still absolutely fantastic interviews from Michael J. Fox and just tons of other cats. It's great to see what they look like then, what they look like now. Also, I also love hearing about behind the scenes things and what went on. I love Christopher Lloyd. It's great to see a lot of Christopher Lloyd, because I know he doesn't avoid Back to the Future, but it just seems like sometimes he gets kind of like, everybody loves him and talks about him, but somehow I think he kind of distances himself a little bit from it. I know I can't think of his name, but Biff. I know he wants nothing to do with Back to the Future anymore. He doesn't even sign stuff for Back to the Future anymore. What's up with that? How could you not do that? It's pretty messed up for your fans. I don't really get that. That's not a cool thing to do. But again, I always feel like Christopher Lloyd, for some reason, when it comes to Back to the Future stuff, almost like he's distancing himself. Maybe I'm wrong. It sort of seems like how it always was. So I was very pleasantly surprised to see him quite a bit in this documentary. So again, fantastic. Definitely worth checking out if you are a Back to the Future fan. I got to get myself a physical copy of it, because it's definitely one of those documentaries I want to watch over and over and over again. And you just can't trust digital media. So who knows if I'll have it forever. That's why I got to get myself a physical copy, because it was great. So I'll definitely be picking that up, watch it. All right, so the next thing I checked out. All right. Fantastic Four. Oh yeah, I watched it. So, so many of you guys were saying this was such a bad movie. I mean, some people were saying worst movie of the year. When I watched this, people were like, oh, good luck. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Stuff like that. The typical stuff I get when I watch movies people don't like. And yeah, it was all right. I kind of felt like this movie is sort of just like the first Fantastic Four movie from a few years back. It's just okay. It's not, I wouldn't say this movie was bad. It just wasn't good. It was just kind of like, all right, it is what it is. It was an okay story, okay characters. It kept me entertained, but is it something I'm ever going to really want to watch again? Not so much. And it also suffered what I feel the same problem that the original Fantastic Four movie had, and that's the fact that they're shoving so much information into an hour and a half movie. You just can't do that. And I kind of blame your typical moviegoers. Probably not you or me, the big movie buff probably wouldn't care about this, but your average moviegoer, I blame them for these bad movies. And the reason is because they could have simply done an awesome origin story. They could have just been like, here are your characters, here's how they came to be, here's the villain, here's how he came to be, here's your story. Okay, we have all these characters set up, very enjoyable story, they're all built up, here you go, here you go, here you go. All right, end of the movie. Now the second movie, now we get our battles, now we get our villain and good guys, coming together. That's what we should have had. But these movies is like, well, we always need our big epic battle at the end. We always need this and we always need that. It's like, no, just give me a good story. building up these characters. I want to get psyched. I mean, I think it's also a good reason too that to do this is because it gets you psyched for a second movie. You can get yourself all built up. You're like, oh man, I'm into the story. I watch these characters evolve, and I know what their story is now, and I know an epic battle's coming. Movie's over. Now I'm excited for part 2 because I want to see the epic battle. That's what they should do. But your average moviegoer isn't going to want that. They want the epic battle. They want the action. They want all the crazy scenes. They want the full story in an hour and a half. They don't want half a story and then watch a half a story later. I mean, I've seen so many movies where people bitch about that, like certain Harry Potter movies, where it's just kind of like a build up to the next movie. People are complaining about that. Don't. It's great character development. I love that kind of stuff. Develop your characters. Make me interested. Make me want to get invested in your characters, and then start throwing cool stories at me. That's what we should get, but we never get that stuff. And they try to stick a huge, long, big, what should be a big epic drawn out story into an hour and a half, and that kind of just makes you go, it went too fast. There was too much stuff thrown in here. Come on. And they're not going to do a second one, apparently, because apparently this one didn't do too well. Honestly, I didn't hate it. A lot of people, of course, complaining about, it's nothing like the comic book and blah, blah, blah. People, for the love of God, people, there is a comic book universe and there is a cinematic universe. They are different. I don't know why people can't comprehend that. I'm not saying that's necessarily always a good thing, because a lot of times, the comic book story is a million times better than the cinematic story. I get that. That doesn't make sense to me either. I mean, if you have a really good story in the comic book, just use that story. I understand that. But with that being said, they are two different universes. The story you see in the comic book and the story you see on the big screen, they're not one in the same. They are different. People can't comprehend that. I don't know why. It drives me nuts. I hear it, I say, well, it's nothing like the comic book. No kidding. So, I don't know. It drives me insane. So anyway, I don't think this movie was as bad as everybody says. It's not. It's not the most god-awful, horrible movie ever. It's just okay. If you like the first Fantastic Four movies, then you're probably going to enjoy this one to some extent. I know a lot of people don't like those movies, so that's basically, I'd say, a good way to gauge this movie. Did you like the first Fantastic Four movies? If you liked them, well, then what the heck? Check this one out. You'll probably enjoy it. If you didn't like them, then you really have no interest in seeing this, because it's kind of just the same thing again. I mean, a whole different story. I mean, they're going a whole different direction kind of with the story. But it kind of suffers from all the same problems, in my opinion, that the first Fantastic Four movie did. So I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it. Will I watch it again? Years down the line, I'll probably want to check it out again, but nothing I need to see soon. And I gotta say, though, I am a little bummed we're not getting a sequel, because, I don't know, I'm kind of interested to see what happens with these characters. Maybe, I don't know, whatever, just 20th Century Fox, just give these licenses back to Marvel. Let's have Marvel do these. Yeah, that's all I can say. Because, again, had Marvel done this, it'd probably have been pretty decent, but whatever, just... It is what it is. Marvel, maybe I want to see these movies keep failing, because then Marvel will start, Disney and Marvel will start putting these movies out and doing a good job with them. I don't know. All right. Then another movie I actually heard bad things about, and that was Minions. And I was thinking, how can Minions be bad? The Minions are awesome. I love them. I mean, the Minions in Despicable Me 1 and 2 were fantastic. They're some of the funniest parts of the movie. Yeah, I wouldn't say this movie was bad, but I kind of see why people didn't like it. And it's just that it wasn't quite as funny as I was expecting it to be. I expected it to just be, hilarious. Penguins of Madagascar, I love that movie. That movie was again, hilarious. They're fantastic characters from the Madagascar movies. They're kind of like the minions of the Madagascar series. And I think they're great. I love them, and I love their movie. Very funny. This was funny. It had some good moments in it, a decent story. It's just that it wasn't a laugh riot. It was kind of like a joke, a little bit of funny joke here and there and whatnot. It was just okay. So, would I recommend Minions? I would kind of... it's hard to really see if I recommend this. If you like CGI animated movies, if you like Despicable Me 1 and 2, if you're a fan of the Minions, then of course check it out. But it's nothing you really need to see. If you're kind of on the fence about this one, if you really don't have any interest in seeing it, then you don't really need to. It wasn't all that funny. Go watch Penguins of Madagascar. It was a much funnier spin-off movie. I'd recommend that one. Minions, just kind of okay. I wouldn't say that I was necessarily disappointed, but I was expecting more. So it was okay, not the best. Would I watch it again? I would. I'm sure Simicus Jr., something like that, would love watching this. I'd watch it again with him. So I would certainly check the movie out again. It wasn't, again, it's worth watching, Is it worth a second watch? It just wasn't anything amazing. It wasn't like I felt with Penguins of Madagascar. I was like, that was great. This was just okay. All right, next movie I watched, this was great. This is San Andreas, and I did actually watch it in 3D. 3D was pretty decent. So I went in this movie expecting some realism, because I remember when this movie was coming out, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, I follow him on Instagram. He's posting pictures and saying stuff about the movie and whatnot, and I expected it to kind of be a bit more realistic, in the sense of his job as like this helicopter rescue guy, and sort of realistic with the earthquake and stuff like that. I expected a lot of realism in this movie. Not so much. Kind of felt like a Roland Emmerich movie. It was over the top, it was ridiculous, it was crazy, and it actually made a lot of fun. I think if the movie could have gone either way, it would have been good, but whatever. They went over the top, and it was fun. I actually enjoyed this movie. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. I loved all the characters in the movie. They did a pretty good job casting it, and pretty crazy to watch this crazy, huge, massive, insane earthquake just rip through California. I mean, it's insane. It's massive. It's just crazy of an earthquake. And biggest earthquake, the world's ever on recorded history and stuff, basically. And it just does some crazy damage. And now The Rock and his ex-wife have to go and save their daughter, and all the craziness that ensues with him trying to get to their daughter. So you got craziness going on with them, you got craziness going on with their daughter in the middle of this huge earthquake, and it's a lot of fun. It's a popcorn movie. What more can I say about that? Popcorn. Again, think Roland Emmerich, think over the top, think just insane, just fun. And that's what this movie was. I actually liked it. Again, it wasn't anything amazing. It's not mind-blowing. It's not a must-see. But if you just like fun, crazy movies, this is one to check out. This was definitely good. And Paul Giamatti. You guys know me. I'll check anything out with Paul Giamatti. And I'll check anything out with The Rock, too. I love The Rock. So, again, good casting. I just like everybody in this movie. So, I would say definitely one to see, just for the fact that it's so much fun. If you like disaster movies, I mean, check it out. All right, then we have Jobs, and a lot of people didn't like this movie either. A lot of people were saying bad stuff about this. Apparently, the newer Steve Jobs movie is a lot better. I will eventually see that. In fact, I'm kind of mad I actually watched this. After I watched it, I was like, I probably should have waited and watched this one, and when I picked up the new one, watched them back to back, but oh well, this is what it is. I thought it was okay. I wasn't, I didn't hate it like a lot of other people seem to. I don't really know, like, the story of Steve Jobs, so that could be another problem. I don't know how closely this actually sticks to his life. I did hear the guy was kind of a jerk, and they definitely point that out in this movie. He's not exactly the nicest guy, but I thought Ashton Kutcher did a decent job playing the role of Steve Jobs. I thought he did a pretty good job imitating Steve Jobs, and it was certainly an interesting story. I mean, from what I know about Steve Jobs, I thought it seemed to follow the story pretty well. It does kind of cut off. Like, I don't know if I really liked where it cut off. It cuts off like when he like joins back to Apple. The iPod's gonna come out and stuff like that. And of course, once the iPod came out, actually like the whole like second wave of Apple like came and everything took off. They stopped the movie there. Maybe I would like to have seen some more. Do they talk about? Did they go past that in the new Steve Jobs movie? Do they go? I mean, why didn't they just go up to? I don't know. They should have gone further. That's what I think. But regardless, I did think it was pretty decent. I didn't see anything necessarily wrong with the movie. I'm definitely interested in checking the second one out now to see how much better apparently it is and see why it's better. Yeah, not the best biopic I've ever seen, but I didn't think it was necessarily bad. I would recommend checking it out if you're interested in it. I would say see it. Again, nothing amazing, but I didn't think it was bad either. I didn't really necessarily get all they hate. Probably something I'm missing. I don't know. Okay, then we have Kurt Cobain, About a Son. This movie, when it first started off, I didn't know how I was going to watch this movie. This movie's was about like 2 hours long, isn't it? Yeah. Actually, I think it was only an hour and a half. I think with special features, it's like over 2 hours long. So it's an hour and a half long movie. And when it first started off, I was like, am I going to be able to do this? This is all recordings from a book that was written about Kurt Cobain, which I've actually read. Yes, Cinema Sickness has read books. I've actually read the book that this was from. The author of the book, he was, recording all these stories that Kurt Cobain was saying. He would basically kind of interview him. Kurt Cobain would tell these stories, and that's how he wrote the book. And it's all the recordings, and that's what this is. It's all the well, not all the recordings, but a lot of the recordings, and just kind of shown to imagery from like the Seattle area and stuff like that. And it was hard to get into at first because you're just hearing these audio recordings. You're not actually like seeing, Kurt Cobain saying this stuff. It's not like he was videotaping this. It was just audio recordings, and you're just watching it to like scenery. And it just felt weird and bizarre, and because it was just hard to get into. But honestly, the stories got so interesting. Kurt's stories got so crazy, and they were just so wild and very interesting to hear that within like 15 minutes, I was hooked. I was into it. I was listening. I was so curious and interested to hear all these stories from Kurt Cobain. And as somebody who has read the book, kind of interesting to hear from his actual words as opposed to how it's written in the book, because things get not changed, but just written a little bit differently, and maybe you kind of see them differently in your head. So it's really interesting to hear, Kurt Cobain actually tell these stories. So pretty cool. If you were a fan of Nirvana or Kurt Cobain or anything like that, definitely worth checking out. Like I said, for the first few minutes, you might be like, how am I going to watch this? It's kind of weird. I've never really seen a documentary like this. It's different. I don't know. But I guarantee you, once you start getting into all the stories of Kurt's stories, it gets very interesting very quickly and definitely pretty awesome. And crazy to hear him talk about Dave and Eric. Dave and Chris. It's Dave, Eric, Grohl, and Chris Anthony Novoselic. I am crazy. I know their middle names. I tell you guys, I used to be obsessed with Nirvana. So not Eric, but Dave, Eric, Grohl, and Chris Anthony Novoselic. Crazy the way and Kurt Donald Cobain. Crazy to hear the way he kind of talks about them a little bit in this. He kind of bashes them a little bit, and just I was surprised by that. I always kind of picture them as like buddies, and no, he has some nice things to say about the two of them, which I was kind of, I don't know, a little taken back by. But good documentary. If you're a Kurt Cobain fan, you're a Nirvana fan, check it out. This is great as well. We have Recording the Producers, a musical romp with Mel Brooks. This was so much fun. It is just a documentary all about the cast recording of the producers. And by cast, I don't mean the movie cast, I mean the play cast. In fact, there wasn't a movie planned, I believe, when they were doing this, because in the actual documentary, at one point, they're like, we really should have turned this into a movie. Like, this is so good. We should do a movie. Mel Brooks is like, yeah, maybe, okay. And then we know what happened with that. But it's absolutely fantastic and a very well done documentary, just all about, again, the cast recording. And a lot of the cast is the cast from the movie as well. And I've never seen the play. I got to do it one of these days. But I do have the original cast recording. It's fantastic. Everybody does a fantastic job. And it's great to just see the behind the scenes. Tons of interviews from Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks is, between every song, he's explaining what's going on and why he wrote it. And he's cracking one-liners and saying funny things. Mel Brooks, at his age, still has it going on. So great documentary. If you were a fan of the producers, whether you're a fan of the original movie or the new movie or the play, it is something to check out. Just great music. I love watching everybody sing as well, because I gotta say, when it comes to musicals, probably one of my favorite musical soundtracks would be the soundtrack to the producers. It's just great music, very well done, extremely funny. Apparently the first time Mel Brooks has ever really written the music. He's always written the lyrics, but he said in this documentary he's never written the music for a movie. And apparently his wife, his unfortunately late wife now, kind of pushed him into trying that out, and I think did a fantastic job. So definitely awesome. And Matthew Broderick, why do I always say his name weird? Matthew and Nathan Lane. I'm drawing a blank. Matthew and Nathan Lane. I love watching them together. I wanted to see them like sing Hakuna Matata or something like that, but whatever. Pumbaa and Simba. It's always nice to see them back together and singing along with each other. So very cool. Definitely, we're checking out. Okay, this video is going so much longer than I expected to. All right, next thing I watch, I also can't physically hold it and show you, as I only have a digital copy, and that is Weird Al Yankovic, The Complete Al. Once again, a fun documentary, but it's cool because it's like a mockumentary, which is awesome to see Weird Al like basically parodying his own life and his own career. I think that was pretty innovative of him because, obviously that's what he does. He does parodies of different people's music, and it's fun to see him do it to his own life and his own career. And this was done in the 80s too, so you're not getting his full career necessarily, but you're getting the beginning of his career, and very interesting. Definitely had some very funny moments. It's just Weird Al being his goofy self, and what's cool about it is they show kind of his career, but they mix in all his like music videos. So you have like I Love Rocky Road and Eat It and Like a Surgeon, all that stuff. Dare to Be Stupid and so on and so forth. You get all those cool music videos thrown in, so you're getting this cool story plus all those cool music videos thrown in. Definitely a pretty cool documentary. Not something else I gotta get myself a physical copy of. So fantasy meets reality in this documentary. It's again based on his life, but making fun of it and goofing around with it. So pretty cool, interesting, again, mockumentary worth checking out. All right, another cool documentary I checked out, which again I can't physically hold and show you, and that is Being Evil, which is a really cool documentary all about Evel Knievel. Very awesome. Again, very informative. I just did not know this much about Evel Knievel. I knew the basic stories of him and stuff, and it's such a cool, informative documentary. I learned so much about the man. I was one of those documentaries you just get hooked on. You just start watching and you're like, this is amazing. This guy's life and all the stories and everything they go into. Such a well done documentary. Great interviews. It tells you just all about this man's life and the crazy stuff that he just went through and did. And pretty cool when it comes to all the stunts he did, but bit of a jerk as a man. In fact, gonna get a little not PC here and little kids earmuffs. But I saw this really cool. It's a meme once, and it said like Evel Knievel, not a pussy. And he's like jumping over stuff, and somebody left a comment, something like, "You're not a pussy," but then somebody left a comment that said something like, "Yeah, not a pussy, but an asshole," or something like that. I was like, I thought it was hilarious because that seems to be the way it is. This guy, balls of steel, like probably literally. I mean, the stuff this guy did was nuts, but kind of a jerk. This isn't even kind of a jerk. He wasn't. He was a horrible father. Cheated on his wife. I mean, beating somebody with a baseball bat and going to jail for it. All the stuff he did, and he could have been. If he had just been a nicer guy, maybe he could have got even bigger with his career. And he apparently lost a lot of money because when he beat that guy with the baseball bat, he went to jail and they like discontinued his toys and he lost a ton of money with that. And yeah, just been a nicer guy. Could have gone even further than Evel Knievel, than the Evel Knievel name has gone. But still a very cool documentary. Definitely worth checking out. Awesome to see him do all the stunts because they show all the stunts. So you're seeing him crash a ton because Evel Knievel, he landed a bunch, but he crashed a lot. It seems like he crashed 75% of the time, 20% of the time he landed it. But very cool to watch him go out on his last stunt because he's in the UK doing his stunt, and he's gonna be like his last stunt. He's nobody likes him in the United States at this point, so he's gonna do his last stunt in the UK, and he jumps these buses and crashes. He's like, all right, this is my last stunt, I'm done. But once he healed, he's like, no, I can't go out like that. And he actually did the stunt bigger, landed it, and ended his career like that. So I thought it was pretty cool, very interesting, and again, definitely worth checking out. Very cool Evel Knievel documentary, which I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I couldn't find any information about this, but I don't believe it's been released to DVD or Blu-ray yet. I didn't see anything about that online or not, but worth getting if you have, like, if you're into digital copies. Worth picking up a ultrawide digital copy of it or something like that. Definitely a cool documentary. Check it out. Okay, then I watched Spy. Yes, so many movies recently that a lot of people dislike. I thought this was okay as well. It is what it is. It's a Melissa McCarthy movie. It's not great. It's better than some of this stuff. What was that movie I just recently watched with her? I don't even remember the name of it because it was that bad. I think the movie was just like a name. I can't even remember. I remember watching and going, oh my god, that was horrible. It was not good. This was okay. Yeah, she's playing her typical crazy self. One of the things I like about this is it's not as over the top as it is a lot of times. Melissa McCarthy can be known for going like crazy over the top, which she certainly does in this movie, but not as much as she usually does, which I actually really like. I loved Jason Statham in this movie, though. Just watching him make fun of himself basically the entire time. He plays like this, I'm a badass spy. Like he comes off like I'm the greatest. I've done so much stuff. You can't stop me. But then he's just constantly screwing everything up. I love his character. I thought he was the character I actually enjoyed most. Every time he popped him on screen, I was pretty happy because he was just awesome in this movie. But all in all, it's okay. Melissa McCarthy, she is kind of like this behind the scenes kind of spy. She helps out Jude Law because he's like the big James Bond type spy, and she ends up having to go into the field and kind of prove herself, and does a decent job at it. And honestly, I didn't think it was bad. I don't know why people really didn't like this. I mean, once again, I'm not saying this movie was amazing. It's not. It's a Melissa McCarthy movie. They rarely are. But it was decent. It had some funny moments in it. It was an okay story. I would watch it again. I would say if you like Melissa McCarthy movies, check it out. This is one of her decent ones. I don't get all the hate for this. Again, it wasn't amazing, but it wasn't the worst either. When people say, that's the worst movie I've ever seen, all I can think of is you need to see more movies because it wasn't that bad. So Spy, it was okay. All right, and the last movie I have here. Now, this was a weird one. This, wow, and that is The Doom Generation. Yeah, checked that out. Yeah. Where to go with this movie? Well, Rose McGowan was really hot in the movie. I'll give it that. This is, of course, before, all her facial surgery that she needed because of that car crash, apparently. Yeah, I don't know. I've read a lot about that. Apparently, a lot of people, I don't know. Some people say she didn't need that much surgery. I don't know. I don't think she's pretty anymore. I'm sorry to say, but gorgeous in this. But the movie is just bizarre, like to the 10th degree. I see what they were going for. They're going for that whole we're 90s and we're edgy. That they were really amping that up, and I also think the characters in this movie are also trying to be, we're so 90s and hip and rad. And again, over the top. Now, I'm sure maybe watching it in the 90s, it could have been a fun movie, but watching it today, and this is my first time ever seeing this movie, it was a little much. Again, watching, I grew up in the 90s, so watching these characters be so over the top and be so we're 90s. I felt like they were really trying to be 90s characters and just felt like actors acting like 90s rockers. Like that's really how, like they were just being they were written super trendy. Like everything out of Rose McGowan's mouth. I mean, I think the first thing she says is fuck. That's the first line in the movie is Rose McGowan just saying fuck. It's like, ooh, that was cool. Wow, you're so hardcore, Rose McGowan. It's like, it's stuff like that. Everything she says out of her mouth is just over the top, like 90s, like one-liners to make her seem tough and cool. But it's not only that, which, whatever, can be looked past. It's the story also, which is just, it's an over-the-top, crazy story, which is done to be edgy. It's an over-the-top, crazy, edgy story. It's Rose McGowan and her boyfriend. They meet up with a hitchhiker, and the hitchhiker ends up like killing people, and now they're like there's this killing spree kind of going on, but it's sort of like kind of accidental killings that are happening, and they're all involved with this. Now they're being chased down, and there's this like weird like love triangle going on and whatnot, and the two guys like are kind of like very experimental, like sexually. So at one point they're gonna have like sex, and then there's like rednecks who like beat them up and kill the one guy. There's a lot going on in this movie, and I see what they were going for. And did I like it? I was kind of meh. I want to say this is one of those movies where I think if you grew up with this movie, if you in the 90s, were into that alternative lifestyle, which I totally was. I was really big into like, alternative rock and whatnot. I was big into that scene. I could have seen myself watching this and probably liking it and probably having, fond memories of it to this day. But watching it for the first time ever this many years later, I just really wasn't all that into it. I could really see what they were going for. It really felt like they were trying way too hard to be hip and cool and trendy and edgy and just being like, ooh, we're so 90s. Alternative people love us. It just felt like that I was a little turned off by it because I saw what they were going for. But again, I can see why people do like this movie. I know this movie has a bit of a cult following. I know a lot of people like this movie, and I think those are the people who probably grew up with the movie and still have a fondness for it. So personally, I wasn't really a fan of the movie, but I can't knock people for liking it who grew up with it. It makes sense. I see why they would still like it to this day, and I think I would too. But I don't know. When I say see it, I would say see it just to watch how insane and bizarre it is and just how crazy of a movie this one is. It's one worth watching for that reason alone. But with that being said, it's not something you need to see. It was just all right. It's weird. It's bizarre. It is crazy. There's a guy who eats his own semen in this movie. It's that kind of movie. So it's hip, it's edgy, it's cool. It's so 90s. It's just all right though. But all right, guys. Anyway, there you go. That is it. I really need to go get something to drink. I don't know how I made it through this video with not a glass of water. Why do I do that? I do these review videos. I never bring a glass of water with me. One of these days, I swear to God, I will have some water with me. So by the end of this video, I'm not like, and my throat's all dry and I'm dying here. So, all right, guys, that is it. So like I always say, thank you guys so much for checking this video out. Be sure to hit that like button down below. Also, if you're not already subscribed, please do. I do a brand new daily sickness video every day, so hit the subscribe button. You'll see a new video from me every single day. Also, if you want to pick yourself up a Cinema Sickness t-shirt or some other cool Cinema Sickness gear, head over to cinemasickness.spreadshirt.com where you can get yourself a Cinema Sickness t-shirt or other cool stuff. And also, if you want to show your support, head over to patreon.com/Cinema Sickness. Become a patron and show your support that way and bring new videos out. So, all right, guys, that is it. Again, thanks for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.